Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack something absolutely fundamental to every single one of us, building a comprehensive, bulletproof financial toolkit. We're drawing on some truly incredible research and frameworks presented by Barbara O'Neill to understand exactly how we navigate the different eras and critical events of our lives. Because, let's face it, your money needs at 25, yeah, they're radically different from your money needs at 55.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the Financial Wellness Roadmap, generational financial imprints, action steps by age, cohabitation and marriage finances, and finally, we'll wrap up with the economics of parenthood.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the Financial Wellness Roadmap, navigating your financial journey.
You know, true financial planning isn't just about cold, hard math, compound interest formulas, or digging up tax loopholes. It's actually a highly holistic, deeply personal journey through different evolving life stages. And this brilliantly illustrates Jason Vitug's Financial Wellness Roadmap, where we can clearly distinguish the milestones along that journey. We start way over on the left with basic financial literacy, literally just understanding the terms, right? But as you travel along this winding road, you hit financial security. That's where you finally have an emergency fund and you're actively managing credit. Then you push even further to financial independence. That's all about controlling lifestyle inflation and getting to zero debt. Finally, the ultimate destination is financial freedom. We're talking total control over your time, massive income-producing assets, and passive streams. It's a step-by-step progression for sure.
Moving right along to Section 2, generational financial imprints, how your era shapes your wallet.
Now, to really understand where we are on that roadmap, we kind of have to look back at where we started. And let's keep a highly empathetic and non-judgmental tone here, because we all have completely different starting lines and different economic backdrops that shaped our worldview. The lines between generations are inherently fuzzy. I mean, you don't just wake up on January 1st of a new decade with a completely different brain. But these groupings provide an absolutely crucial lens for understanding our diverse financial behaviors. Think about it. A baby boomer who experienced hyperinflation in the 70s? They look at a dollar very differently than a millennial who graduated right into the teeth of the 2008 financial crisis.
Which brings us to this incredibly powerful quote from generational insights expert Cam Marston. What imprints on younger people impacts them for the rest of their lives. Just let that breathe for a second. The financial stress your parents felt, the economic headlines dominating during your high school years, the ease or difficulty of getting that very first job, those early environments and experiences deeply, almost invisibly, impact how you handle money today. It basically becomes your default operating system.
Okay, Section 3, Action Steps by Age, Milestones for your 20s and 30s.
Let's move to and see how this builds from generational theory right into tangible, age-specific financial tasks you can actually take action on today. Because, well, understanding your background is great and all, but building that toolkit requires getting to work. So, let's build that toolkit. For all the young adults out there, here is your essential checklist. You need to learn how to actively invest in budget, not just passively let money sit in a checking account doing nothing. You've got to start that retirement savings plan, whether it's a 401k, a 403b, or a TSP. You have to tackle paying back those student loans while simultaneously building a solid credit history and a rock-solid emergency fund. I know, it sounds like a lot. Welcome to the heavy lifting of adulthood, but these actions form the foundational layer.
So what does financial success actually look like at the end of your 20s? Well, based on the research, this is the benchmark. You want to have independent living arrangements without subsidies. You should aim to have a half year's worth of salary saved up for retirement. You want that exact credit score target to be in the low to mid 700s. And crucially, literally absolutely crucial, you need 3 to 6 months of income set aside just for emergencies. If you hit your 30th birthday with these checked off, your toolkit is incredibly sharp.
But then you hit your 30s, and the strategy fundamentally shifts. Your 30s are all about acceleration and diversification. You need to aggressively step up your savings to at least 10 to 15% of your gross income for retirement. If you have kids, this is the exact time to establish those college savings. You must diversify your investment portfolio so your eggs aren't all just sitting in one basket. And perhaps most importantly, you need to increase your own human capital, your job skills, your knowledge, your certifications, to ensure you remain highly employable and can command those raises.
That brings us to Section 4, Cohabitation and Marriage Finances, Merging Lives and Money.
Now, I want you to actively reflect right now on where you stand on your own relationship roadmap, because when romance meets finance, things get complicated fast. This introduces the next major life stage, moving in together. Check this out.
As of 2016, a massive 18 million U.S. adults were in cohabitating relationships. That represents a huge 29% jump since 2007. More and more people are choosing to merge their households without actually merging their legal marital status right away.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that it isn't just a trend for the young. Since 2007, the number of cohabitors over age 50 grew by a staggering 75%. No way, right? That is a much faster increase than literally any other age group. Many of these folks were previously married and are now divorced or widowed, and they're navigating the incredibly tricky waters of late-in-life financial merging.
Because you aren't automatically protected by marital law, there are some absolutely crucial financial rules for unmarried couples living together. First up, establish proportionate bill paying based on your respective incomes. Second, and I really cannot stress this enough, beware of commingling your assets and your debts. Keep your distinct financial identities crystal clear. Third, know the rules. Living together can actually impact alimony from a previous marriage or certain pension rules. And finally, consider joint property insurance coverage to protect your shared physical assets.
You have to be super deliberate about these rules, because whether you're married or just living together, money and different money personality traits remain the absolute top source of friction in relationships. Power plays, control, debt habits, splitting the bills. If you don't communicate about the contents of your financial toolkit, it will absolutely tear the relationship apart.
Finally, Section 5, the economics of parenthood, the cost of a growing family. Let's transition to what is arguably the most massive financial, emotional, and economic milestone you can ever experience, having a baby. The demographics of parenthood are actually shifting rapidly. The average age of first-time mothers has steadily risen, reaching 26.3 years old, which is driven largely by a steep decrease in teenage mothers. At the same time, when families do start having children, the gap between sequential births has actually decreased to 2.4 years. So people are waiting longer to start, but then they're really condensing those baby years. And man, those baby years hit like a freight train. There is a genuinely shocking data point from a major study. The initial drop in life satisfaction after a first birth is actually greater than the drop caused by unemployment, divorce, or widowhood. Just let that sink in. That is a dramatic narrative turning point, right? It perfectly illustrates the immense emotional stress, the brutal sleep deprivation, and of course, the sudden, staggering financial burden a new child introduces to a household.
It's basically a double-edged economic sword. On one hand, you have the sudden arrival of huge new expenses, diapers, specialized gear, and the absolutely crushing cost of childcare. On the other hand, you are simultaneously facing a very real potential drop in household income as one or both parents take unpaid leave or reduce their working hours. So, expenses skyrocket precisely when income often dips. It's a tough spot to be in.
So, the crucial point is you need a plan. Here is a direct, highly actionable checklist for new parents to secure their growing family's financial future. Step 1. Immediately revise your income tax withholding to account for the child tax credit and dependent care credits. Stop giving the government an interest-free loan. Step 2. Fiercely investigate your employee benefits related to parenting, newborn care, or adoption. Do not leave money or paid time on the table. And Step 3. Plan your estate immediately. You need a legally binding will with a named guardian and a backup guardian for your child. It's not the most fun thing to think about, but it's essential. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question. We know from the research that there is a tragically high correlation between the frequency of financial disagreements and divorce. So, looking at your own life, your own generational imprints, and your current life stage, will your financial toolkit protect your relationship? Don't wait for a crisis to find out. Take these milestones, have these tough conversations with your partner, and start organizing your financial future today. Keep learning, keep building, and I'll see you in the next explainer.